Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the final day of the Metal Gear Solid 2 Very Easy tournament. My name's Plywood, and I'm here joined with Joseph Joestar 316. How are you doing, dude?
I am doing well today. I think we're going to be in for some pretty tense matchups on the final day of the tournament.
Yes, folks, this is a 14-player tournament that's been playing out over the last couple of days, starting on Friday, and this is the bracket as it's currently shaped up. D-Limes 13 versus GoGo BMN, which will be our first match of the day. And then afterwards, we will have Beswick versus Platonic Guy. And then third place, whoever loses the semifinals will go to a third place match. Followed by that will be the grand finals to determine who is the supreme very easy player. And that is going to be an exciting question to answer as we go through the rest of this day. How are you feeling about this, Joe? What are your predictions for this first match, D-Limes 13 versus GoGo BMN?
Oh boy, I don't know where to begin, but I mean, I've raced pretty much just about everybody except for Beswick that's on this finals day's bracket. And, I think with D-Limes, he's a force of nature. He knows how to play, plays very well, makes very few mistakes, and, he makes really good on the spot decisions, especially in a racing environment like this. But BMN, I mean, he's no stranger to the game either. He picks up on optimizations fairly quickly. I would not be surprised if this would be close, but if I had to take a guess with this first match, I would have to say probably leans in the favor of D-Limes, unless if there's something so drastically, unfortunate, such as like a bad Harrier fight, which is, again, something in this category some people may take for granted, is that some of these boss fights are not a cakewalk just because it's very easy, as the name implies, but some of these boss fights and some other factors are very important. But I would say the first match goes to D-Limes, as much as I love BMN. But it's going to be close.
Yeah, I think we're going to, the favor definitely leans in D-Lime's side. However, B-Man was saying before this started that he had some new tricks up his sleeve, so we'll see what that actually is. I'm really curious what could be being tossed out at this point in the tournament, because this is really the point in the tournament where the rubber really meets the road and you have to show what you got. We have some of the best players on the scene in this tournament at this point on Sunday, so this is no time to be slouching around.
Yeah, indeed.
And with that, I think we're getting ready to transfer over to the first race of the day, folks. D-Limes 13 versus B-Man, GoGo BMN. And right now we're getting a confirmation from the racers that they're ready before the timer begins. And the countdown starts. And we are a go. Folks, we are a go. So we have D-Limes 13, certainly the favorite to win this whole tournament. The number one seed, currently has world record in this category, versus B-Man. Now, B-Man is actually a old school player who's returned back to the scene, has done some really incredible work with the auto splitter for PC. Originally, my understanding is B-Man was primarily an all dog tags runner. He actually has a dog tags run on Speed Demos Archive, so this is some old school kickback stuff, and it's awesome, absolutely awesome to see old school players like B-Man coming back.
Yeah,
And
and
getting
I
so
guess
far too. Really impressive stuff.
yeah, and like I was saying the other day, like it is a joy to see not only active new and old runners all like as part of this tournament. But yeah, I guess, I mean, so far it's just basically a race to Olga, which is gonna be first of the, I guess, several, I guess, checkpoints throughout this race. Particularly, we're interested to see what kind of Olga spawn each racer will get. Either a left, a right spawn, or maybe something in between. You never know. But I guess Dean Limes is going to get a right side as well as BMN. So this is actually good for both because I think in the very easy category, the right spawn Olga is actually the most preferred, if not the fastest.
Yep, we've been seeing some Olga issues throughout this tournament, but looks like Neelime's cleaned up because yesterday he had some issues. But B-Man right on his heels. Nice clean Olga fights from both competitors. That's exactly what you'd expect and want to see at this point in the tournament.
Oh yeah, the worst thing that could happen is going from what should be a four shot knockdown to a 5-6, which has happened to a couple of our runners the other day with hitting the arm or the limb.
Yeah,
But
it wastes a lot of time from her. Her damage animation is really slow if you hit a limb rather than her head.
yeah, but I guess on the bright side, good thing they got like what is it, like 100 so rounds of M9 ammo.
Oh yeah, the issue is not the bullets. It's definitely the time loss.
But I guess if I know D-Limes, I don't know if he's going to do it in this one, but he likes to kind of spam the rounds off, kind of like, I think, well, who was it that liked to do that? Was it Azu?
That was Azu, yeah.
Yeah, that was like an Azu meme where he just spams off every
You
round
just
except for like the bare
spam
minimum.
spam M9 ammo.
But now I guess we're coming up to the engine room, which is going to be ever done so carefully, where he's going to do a time drop to the bottom, which is going to put him in position to do a radio, I guess, disarm, if you would, which is going to start a timer for the reinforcements to come in on the upper left side of the screen. BMN opted to do what I think is probably the safer method, which doesn't involve the radio shot, which if I guess sometimes if you don't feel confident in rolling up to the guards, or if you just need a different set of timing, either one will work. But the whole idea is to get either an alert or a caution before you enter this area with the one and only sensor bomb, so you just bypass a small cutscene.
Yeah, B-Man did as well, but he did a slightly different variation on it where you
Hmm.
didn't do that full-on drop and instead turn to trank the guard as he's calling in the alert. Really interesting setup. Very cool to see this variance. But I'm still maintaining a few second lead. Most of that was from Olga as
Yeah, I
they are
mean,
heading into guard rush.
when it comes to this category, this kind of a lead that we're seeing right now, and in the long run, doesn't. I mean, I wouldn't want to say that it's nothing, but it's like it goes back and forth very easily.
Yeah, we'll see what really will happen with the lead by holds. That's really the big testy part. But D-Lime's going into his guard rush, getting those
Ooh,
fast
yeah,
shots.
yeah. Unfortunately, got a iframe on the right guard, but I guess nope, no, he still cleaned it up pretty well, and I guess BMN's following up right after him. But yeah, it's one of those things where sometimes the guard on the right will tend to either blind fire peek or do the I guess what I call the dramatic cinematic rollout to the side. But yeah, so oh man,
It
D
always
Limes
looks
is
scary.
yeah,
It
D
always
Limes'
looks
ladder
scary, but
glitches always scare me. It's like I keep thinking he's gonna soft lock, and then he just surprises you, and he's like, nope, I'm back in. But it looks like they're both through hold one with no issues. Now
very
coming up,
nice.
it's hold two. I think D Limes is, excuse me, I think D Limes is gonna just stick up and play it safe.
Yep, he's playing it safe with the hold up strat. Let's see if B-Man's also going safe, doing a hold up.
Yeah,
We
there
just
is
want to get
another.
out of tanker
Oh
without
yes,
any
yes.
issues.
Yeah, Tanker is not a friendly place to have mistakes happen this early in a race. Take it from me. But I mean, there is another way to get through hole two, which is a carefully executed roll in the first row of Marines. There's some dangers to that. Sometimes you get an unfavorable roll pattern and then you get caught, or just other things. But the stick up is more or less. a carryover tactic from other difficulties. It doesn't slow it down that much, but it is way safer, especially when you know your competition is going to be right behind you.
Yeah, and D-Limes has already said that he likes watching along with the stream. Hi D-Limes, I know you're there. He's keeping tabs. He likes to keep tabs. He doesn't really get psyched out from that sort of thing. So, knowing that B-Man hasn't had any real issues, he probably thinks, I don't really need to try to I'm gonna bring my lead stronger in plant. I'm not gonna worry about tanker. So really anyone's game at this point. They're just sort of just trying to get through tanker safely and quickly, and seeing what either runner can do to get an advantage as they go into plant.
Yeah, I know he likes to stick to a particular game plan going in, which of course BMN has probably a few surprises of their own that I guess neither of us know about, but he does like to kind of keep an eye on what the other runners up to. He doesn't really like to play in the dark, so to speak, where he just kind of focuses on their own run entirely with maybe an occasional I guess scouting of what
A
the
little
other
peek,
runners up
little
to.
little
Yeah,
tiny peek,
yeah, a
a
little
little
peek.
peek around the corner, a little curtain peek. Yep. But
Oh wait, are they both gonna pick up the M9?
I
Oh my
think
god,
yeah,
they are. Dude, I don't
they
know
may have
why this.
agreed to this beforehand just for the memes. This doesn't actually really change anything, but you could do it right now.
Was this like the pre-game gentleman's meme agreement? It's like, yep,
Yeah,
we're both gonna pick up the M9
we're
before
gonna pick
we.
up that M9.
Oh my god! But it's like I didn't know this was actually a thing until the exhibition races that we were doing earlier to this tournament, where it was a 5-man tournament with both BMN D Limes, Platonic, myself, and I think it was
Patchy?
yeah, Apache. Yeah. So then BMN just out of nowhere goes back and picks up the M9, and we're like, man, what are you doing? And we're like, dude, like, what's he doing? And then he's like, wow, he actually makes it back to the elevator with some time. But I guess according to Platonic the other day is that this strat is actually favorable pending if you want to go for like a non-lethal fat man tactic, which would require as much ammo as you could get without really slowing you down. But I don't know. I mean, they both know how to do lethal. I think they both know how to do non-lethal for sure, but I don't know which one's going to do what.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's just purely for the memes or so one of them or both of them are planning on whipping out the non-lethal Fat Man. So that remains to be seen. I think again with D Limes, it's really just going to depend on how well he's doing relative to B Man, and we really have seen that B-Man, even though he's had some shakiness through his matches um, here and there, he's definitely a force to be reckoned with. He has a good knowledge of how this game works on a technical level from his work with the auto splitter and digging around the memory addresses to find various information about kills, etc., and damage values. But that technical knowledge, it might seem just purely nerdy, but when you do that sort of stuff, you get a deeper appreciation for how the game works.
Honestly, I think it's just magic how he does that stuff with the auto splitter.
I'm excited, and I'm gonna call him out on stream because he said, "Yeah, man, after this tournament's done, I'm gonna go to MGS1." I'm like, "Mwah, yes, that's what I want to hear." He's gonna improve the auto splitter there.
Oh man,
Anyways,
yeah, MGS1's right up your alley.
I know, I know.
And I think and I think for our viewers at home, I think with MGS1, I think you're kind of good at that game.
Yeah, I mean, it's
I mean, you
probably
you
fair to
might
say.
have a record in one of the categories. I think.
At least one. At least one. Oh, and B-Man gets the cartwheel on the wall.
Oh,
That is
jeez.
that sort of mistake is something we have to notice because that just increased D Lime's lead by another second or so. Got to be
Yeah.
careful with that. Got to be careful. I know you want to try to maintain that pace, but that was hard. But as long as he doesn't do too many of those, he'll still be in spitting distance of D Limes.
Yeah, besides the routing, the probably one of the most important things, which I think I've kind of realized over I guess, my journey of learning this category is the movement. The one thing you wouldn't expect of everything else besides, I guess, RNG is really movement. When to cartwheel, when not to cartwheel. I mean, I have a bad habit of cartwheeling just about everywhere you could possibly cartwheel. But yeah, cartwheeling into corners or walls or areas that either get you stuck or don't really benefit you, it adds up. Like Plywood said, might be a second here, second there, but then before you realize it, your opponent's a whole room ahead of you.
Yep, and since you're talking about someone who has played very easy quite a bit, D-Lime's 13, he really has improved this category, along with others, of course. Um, any little movement mistake really chips you down, and that's not something you want in this kind of category where movement is of the utmost importance.
All right, so I guess what you're seeing here on what I guess will be on both ends is they're doing what's going to be a far disarm, which yeah, man, was just slightly out of range, so you had to adjust. But what you're going to see both of them do is,
Oh, what is
oh,
going
he's,
on? He didn't
oh,
finish it. Oh, that
oh
is
no,
really rough. That is really rough, folks.
oh man, that is unfortunate. Cause yeah, so I guess he didn't get the coolant rise off, and he didn't disarm it in time or too early. And then D-Limes did perform the coolant rise, which is a small optimization of equipping and unequipping the coolant while in first person while trying to stand. And what that does is it bypasses the whole, I guess, rising animation, hence the whole coolant rising. But oh geez, what a sad turn of events in the beginning. But I don't know. I mean, anything can happen. But I mean, Dean Limes is not really known for making
He hasn't really made
careless
many
mistakes.
mistakes, yeah. But B-Man grabbing that claymore in the middle there, very nice. He's gonna be setting up for a movement later on that bridge.
Oh, feels
But
bad for that guard. I bet she's gonna wake up with a headache later.
that's right. That's right. But yeah, D-Limes really hasn't made many obvious mistakes throughout this run so far, but B-Man's had some issues, and that's really what it comes down to. If B-Man just keeps on making these little mistakes, that's gonna be a problem. It's gonna be a problem.
Yes, and I guess a question from our one of our viewers is, given what's happened so far, is like, how far behind is BMN right now? And I would probably say give or take, as he's entering the pump room area and Dean Limes is leaving, he's probably waving hello to him. He's like, "Hey, B-Man," is probably good 10 to 15 seconds, depending how he disarms this bomb. And
Again, the
oh,
setup can
jeez.
really mess with people. It's so important when you're learning this game and you're doing this pump room, because the pump room is really one of the hardest rooms in the bomb disposal. Knowing your movement here, knowing how to set up for that fast spray from behind. If you can't do that, you're going to have a lot of trouble. Believe me, I've been there.
Yeah, and I guess the other thing to keep in mind too is that when these mistakes do happen, and you as the runner know they're mistakes, assuming your opponent's not going to make that mistake, you know that you're mentally trying to, calm yourself down and not try to succumb to pressure. Which is very easy to fall into. Trust me.
Yep, that is very true. Joseph was there yesterday. I'm sure. There's some pressure there when you're getting into the high end of this tournament. As D-Lime's entering Strut C Dining Hall and doing the new 0.8 second time save of spraying this bomb first, then going for the sensor. That's what you want to do on clockwise. Go for the bomb first, then the sensor. And that's because you can cartwheel into the sensor and you... Ooh! D-Lime's accidentally going prone.
Oh yeah, one of my favorites running this game.
And he missed the sensor with the cartwheel. Okay, this is an opportunity for BMN to claw back a little bit of time here, because both of those mistakes probably lost D-Limes around 2 seconds at least. So
Yeah, I was gonna
let's
probably
see.
say maybe a second and a half, but it's yeah, but I guess the whole idea of, oh, and B-Man
Oh,
missed the
he
cartwheel
missed it
too.
too. He missed the swag wheel. Oh, it's okay, man. It's okay.
Oh,
That's
and D-Lives didn't get it to the door. Oh, jeez, I never see him do that.
yeah. He's faltering a little bit now. We're actually starting to see Dean Limes trip himself up a little bit. Nothing
Oh,
too heavy like what happened to B-Man on the heliport, but
oh yeah, that's something that would definitely get me going. And then I think even with some other runners, how they deal with it is sometimes for me it's just you kind of have to like play it out, maybe just kind of reevaluate and just kind of like let the let time play out. Where sometimes in a different part of the run you actually might feel better despite an oh, I bet he got caught in the corner with the cartwheel. Oh jeez. Yeah, sometimes it's like you say, you might calm yourself down, but then some other mistake happens a couple of minutes later that it sets you back. But I don't know.
yep,
I'm not counting anybody out because again, this category, I mean, it does not really show favor. It also definitely doesn't show mercy, for anyone, especially when certain things happen. But I guess kind of going back to why some viewers might be wondering, well, why the bomb first, then sensor B, when perhaps they might have seen the sensor, then the bomb, then the exit, because they figured, well, that's efficient, right? Well, it was, but apparently the whole idea is to bypass a loading sequence as you leave strut C, despite the fact that your timer of 400 seconds is starting later, but you're saving, I think, like what you said, zero point 0.8 seconds
yep. Point
of
eight.
that loading.
From that loading into the codec when you go into the next room. So
Looks like they
that,
both got the bomb with no swim trip in the pool.
no one in this tournament yet has actually fallen into the pool. I'm gonna have to knock on wood on that one, but we've seen no one falling into the drink, so that's pretty good. As D Limes does the Fortune setup, 3 punches to the right, crouch down, and then Fortune's gonna blow up that forklift because we need her to blow up that forklift and the light fixtures and some barrels.
Yeah, and I guess the whole idea with the punch buffer is it lines it lines yourself up to Fortune in a very specific position, which is meant to optimize the encounter between her blowing up the forklift, which is required, by the way. I thought it was just for show that she blows it up, but it actually needs to be destroyed. I mean, I don't know. What did the forklift ever do? It was just at the wrong place at the wrong time in a race. But it's meant to optimize blowing up the forklift, minimize dialogue, because dialogue from Fortune wastes a lot of time, more time than you can imagine. And in between other variances of when she decides to shoot the barrels, when she casually just decides to reload. But looks like Dean Limes is going to get out fairly easily here. And I think BMN now just got his barrel because what they were attempting to do there was get Fortune to not only destroy the forklift, but there's a set of cardboard boxes up at the front along with the 2 yellow barrels. Well, you might be thinking, well, the barrels, that's easy. Just shoot them. Well, we wish we could, but apparently those barrels are made of some kind of material that's only destructible by Fortune's railgun. I know, call me crazy, but it's true. But the whole idea of them destroying the cardboard boxes and the barrels and the forklift is to basically advance the script of what Fortune would normally do when she kind of ends the encounter, as she'll shoot each barrel, then shoot the ceiling, kind of losing control and so on and so forth. And oh,
Oh,
B-Man hit the
B-Man, just forget about it, man. Oh,
oh
rough, real
no.
rough. So, just for those wanting to keep track at home, B-Man's about 24 seconds behind D-Limes, but that knockdown probably had another +3, so
Yeah. Oh
we're
jeez.
around 30 seconds-ish, give or take.
Okay, now you
So,
see that D Limes picked up a mine on the EF connecting bridge as he was making his way towards Fat Man. Again, using that coolant rising tactic. But oh, geez, I feel every mine that blows up like that in this game. It's part of the reason why I personally go for the BC connecting bridge shaft, because that pathway for that shaft on the A rooftop scares me.
so that's a very, very fair answer to that problem because the movement required to avoid that claymore is pretty tight. But we're now going into Fat Man, the first big boy boss of this game. And D-Limes, let's see if he's going to go for M9 or SOCOM. I think he's probably just going
I
to
think
stick
he's.
to the SOCOM.
I think so. I think he realizes where he's at right now. He's just gonna not change anything.
Yep, feels pretty comfortable with this approach. And Fat Man's giving a good pattern. I'd call that a pretty good pattern as far as him not knocking his head off to the side. So that's very good. Let's see what B-Man has in store for us for this Fat Man. D-Limes didn't really make many mistakes with this Fat Man, so this is really just a contest of not screwing up at this point. Nice shot from B-Man. He's moving to his side and actually set himself up really well there. That was
Yeah.
very clean. I think he
I would.
saved a bit of time over D-Limes there with that Fat Man.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's probably one of the better Fat Mans, if not the best one you could get, where he goes not only down but right next to your second bomb to disarm. So really good cleanup on B-Man.
Yep, that gives him a little bit of time back compared to D-Limes, but it's still going to be some work as we go into the mid game proper with Shell 1 Core and then Harrier. This is where we've seen some players have some real issues during this tournament, the pressure or whatever. But Shell 1 Core, you can make some pretty nasty mistakes and lose a lot of time there.
Yeah, and I was kind of on the receiving end of one of those mistakes not too long ago, which was a kick to the face at the elevator because I decided to misinput, which I guess in the long term was kind of the lesser of, I guess, what is the worst. But yeah, so like Shell 1 is, it's not a place to let your guard down, no pun intended, but it's, I don't know, some runners, yeah, they've made some, some pretty severe errors, and especially near the B1 section, which is probably the one of the most important ones, which is leading towards aims, which is going to be another factor coming up for both runners in terms of where aims is going to be. And for some watching at home, it's like, well, I've seen aims spawn in the same spot all the time. Well, what's the deal? Well, the thing about MGS2 is that there's a new game and a new game plus attribute. What the new game plus basically, among other things, allows Ames's location in the B1 core to be randomized. So, meaning every time you load the room on a different attempt, he's gonna be in a different position, which I think it's one out of maybe like a dozen places in four corners of the room. So one thing that can help BMN here is if he gets basically the best aims he can possibly get, and D-Lime's getting the worst aims he could possibly get at this point.
D-Limes on his first match yesterday got the best aim spot. So let's see if D-Lime's luck ran out yesterday, or if he's just gonna, keep on swimming through the good luck here as he gets that retinal. Very clean, switching off from the BDU to save some time, since having the BDU equipped does lose you a little bit of time with these cutscenes. Very strange. But let's see what D-Limes gets. So
All right,
he didn't get the best spot, but this is Southeast Ames. This is still a decent spot. Nothing too horrible there. And again, remembering to keep the BDU off to save some time during these Ames cutscenes. Saves a couple of seconds, which is pretty huge when it comes to this category.
I think the game secretly hates the BDU, even though it forces you to use it. Because it adds to your loads. I'm like, it's like, okay, so they both had about the. Oh, and he missed.
Oh, wrong. That's
No.
Jennifer. That's Jennifer. That's not Ames. That's Jennifer.
Oh, jeez.
A little bit too itchy on that D-mic trigger finger there.
I don't know. Maybe Ames was the decoy and Jenny was the real Ames. We don't know. I mean, it's Metal Gear. Anything could happen.
Maybe that was B-Man's secret strat. He's like, there's this one Jennifer that's actually Ames. You just don't know about it. Okay, so D-Lime's heading over to Strut F to get the PSG one, as B-Man still about 30 seconds behind here. And this is really now coming down to whether D-Limes is going to relent at all, make any errors going into the 1-2 bridge and Harrier. Now, We still have not seen anyone accidentally blow up the bridge yet. There's been some like common mistakes that you see runners do that have not happened in this tournament yet, which is kind of surprising given how many people have competed in this tournament that we haven't seen anyone fall in the water or blow up the bridge. But something like that can be absolutely huge as we go into the semifinals.
I guess not to really kind of throw people under the bus, but I think it was. I think the only bomb that went off was. I think it was in the engine room.
Right,
The
right.
Yeah, it was.
That was
Yeah, I think
B
that was.
man.
Yeah, that was B man, and then I think it was Tyler tried to do the like alternate leap of faith and slipped on the pipeline. And
Yes.
then and it was I felt really bad for him, but it's like I guess for people that know me is I've blown up that 1-2 connecting bridge and the engine room bombs. God knows how many times I would like to admit. But yeah, thankfully so far no one has blown up the 1-2 bridge yet. Hopefully it won't be ever. I mean, you never know. But so D Limes is getting started here, so he's gonna go for the Cypher shot first. There's different ways of handling this. I tend to go for the Cypher shot last since it's probably one of the scarier shots for me personally. But good work on him disarming the bridge with the PSG-1, which kind of acts as a, indirect ranged coolant, if you would. I mean, you kind of kill guards with it too, but you can take
The
out civilians.
ranged coolant of bullets, yes.
Yep. All right, so now D-Lime's going to start with the carrier, so he's going to try to go for a 5-hit. And he did not get the high damage roll. So he did not get the double damage of hitting both hitboxes. So he's going to have to opt for a 3-hit finish here, assuming he gets the die shots here. Which I think he's got one,
Yeah,
and I think he's got the other. Yeah, so
he's gonna
that's
lose
going
some time here.
Yeah, that's going to cost him about like 10 to 12 seconds there. Let's see what B-Man's going to do here. So he's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and he's got the high damage, so that's going to save him some time.
Now
he's got
to get those last 3 shots in. He got the +1. Now just get those 2 die shots, and will that be enough?
So that's 1, and I think he's got it. Yeah, that's well done on BMN. Yeah, so just like that, I mean, that's extra 10 to 12 seconds that BMN gets back into the run. And I guess kind of, in terms of like how far the Harrier's been optimized on this category, it's absolutely insane what people have found in terms of like, seeing that there's the +1 opportunity or even the die shots, which is something I didn't know about for the longest time.
Yeah, and B-Man really, really needed this going into the second half of this game. This just kept his potential for clawing back a lead alive. If he couldn't get that, or if he could only get like a 4+1, we'd be in big trouble for B-Man. Big trouble. But now he has clawed back a little bit of time, and now we're seeing both runners in the same room, which was not the case not too long ago.
Yeah, it was only just, what was it, like a few minutes ago? It was maybe like a room and a half. And now they're both kind of getting into Shell 2 with only maybe like 20 seconds apart, maybe less.
Very exciting. And the question is, will either of these runners go for swim glitch, or will both runners play it safe and see if no, B-Man, no. Oh, that is okay. So we need to explain that for people who aren't aware of how cartwheels or aerials work. I call them wheels, sorry folks, or I'll just call them rolls since then it's generic. But whenever Raiden does a cartwheel, you need to be at running speed. You can't be walking. So whenever you throw a chaff, there's this period of time after Raiden has thrown the chaff where he has to accelerate. He has to get back up to running speed. So if you try to cartwheel during that time, you'll go prone. The other time when this can happen is if you're going across a seam. So there's certain seams going through certain doors, going down certain stairs. If you cartwheel at the wrong time, you'll go prone. So it's something you got to be very careful about doing. It's a common mistake. Just a little bit too jumpy on the trigger, and you go prone.
I
So
I just tried timing it, so I think D-Limes has like a 15-second lead right now. So the interesting thing, like you said, is will either one go for a swim glitch? And honestly, I think D-Limes is not going to do it. I'm sure he's watching what's going on right now, and I think he realizes, yeah, he has a little bit of cushion, but not enough to want to do it himself. I mean, I don't know. He could surprise us and maybe do it to try to put more pressure on BMN to try to catch up and forcing him to do it as well if he wants any kind of a shot of catching up. But I don't know.
I think B-Man, maybe this is what he was referring to about having something up his sleeve. Oh, and he's having trouble getting up onto that crate. Oh man, that's unfortunate. A little bit of a time loss there for B-Man. This is not what he needs right now between the going prone and having trouble going up that crate. Again, it's all these little micro mistakes that really, really hurt you when you're going up against the world record holder.
Yeah, absolutely. Because again, every time that you know that you make the mistake, you have to almost assume the person you're racing doesn't. And every time, if you add it all up, that's kind of where what we're seeing right now. I mean, aside from the Harrier fight, which very well done on BMN's end. So I guess now D Limes is making his way first back down the elevator, which my prediction is I think he's not going to do it. I think BMN's going to do it for the swim glitch.
Nice cartwheel from Dean Limes going through the break room. Very nice. Didn't hit anything. Didn't slow down.
Oh yeah, I
Some
think he
good
hit the node
confidence
the other
there.
day making that cartwheel. Now that you say that.
It's really easy to hit the objects in there going
Oh
for those
yeah,
wheels.
it is really easy to bonk into stuff in that room. So let's see what D Limes is going to do.
I think
Yep,
he's
he's playing it
just gonna
safe.
swim.
Yeah.
This is basically a challenge to BMN. Are you going to
Oh,
just
I didn't
do
hit the button. Oh
do the
jeez.
typical stuff? Are you just gonna play it safe, or are you gonna go for gold? So we'll see what BMN does here. This is a turning point in this run. 'Cause I think he needs to do this to claw it back, and he's just swimming. All right,
Wow,
so
that is interesting.
okay, so now we're getting into the realm of what can BMN do at this point in the run to bring back a lead? Um, because there's not a whole lot left that things can get screwy with. Maybe D Limes will screw up Vamp, but I have not seen him screw up Vamp in a long time, so that's not something you want to bank on. But let's see. Yep,
No,
clean as
pretty
ever.
yeah, clean vamp. But yeah, so I guess I don't necessarily blame either one for not going for the glitch. I've been on both ends of this decision where the first time I did it, it paid off. And then the other time, I think it pretty much sealed my fate, which for people wondering, well, why is the swim glitch so important and what does it mean for the race? Well, it gives you a chance to catch up by going out of bounds through a very, very carefully executed swimming maneuver to get you out of the water and through a hole in the ceiling. And the downside to making that decision is if you don't get it quickly enough or at all, that you're essentially slowing yourself down while your other competitor just gets ahead of you just swimming normally. But I don't know. But I think at this point, between now that Vamp is done for both, it's probably going to be maybe banking their hopes on who messes up in Arsenal gear. And it's going to have to be more than that,
Or
honestly.
Tengu 2. Tengu 2
Yeah.
is going to be pretty key. Though I do have to say that it looked like BMN saved a little bit of time with that Vamp room compared to D Limes. He didn't move from the starting spot, and he only picked up one package of ammo, whereas D Limes picked up two. So that little difference, uh, it's probably no more than 2 seconds, but it's something there. It's something for BMN. Anything. He wants anything to try to claw it back. I know BMN is a pretty good escort for Emma. He's worked out some pretty cool, nifty stuff for the escort sequence. So maybe he's got some cool stuff there as well. I mean, I've already made a prediction it failed, so you know, who knows? Who knows what tricks he has up his sleeves? Maybe that's why he said, you know, I don't need no swim glitch. I don't need that high execution junk. I'm just gonna rely on blankety blank later on.
Yeah, because I mean, at this point, he's going to need everything he could possibly get to just, I guess, be within closing distance. Because right now, I don't know, this is a pretty lengthy lead, but again, I don't know, we've seen some pretty scary things happen going into Arsenal gear. You know, some people have fallen through holes, some have gotten alerts early, some have gotten knocked down, some have had a little mix of everything, but this is definitely gonna be interesting to watch to see what happens here. And then I guess what D Limes is gonna do here is Emma's got this fear of bugs, and we're just trying to forcefully help her through that fear by just dragging her through and then just getting her to the elevator and just letting her know it's okay, Emma, it's all right. But I'm not using the colic spray on those damn bugs. We're in a race, so we just gotta hurry things along here.
She's got a virus to upload. It's more important than her phobias. But you know, D-Limes may have a sizable lead, but it's not insurmountable. This is not like a impossible lead, as we've seen some races end up being just like too far gone. This is not too far gone. It's hard, and it's definitely relying on Limes screwing up at this point, but it's not too far gone for BMN.
I mean, earlier throughout this tournament, we've seen some really, upset like turnarounds. And I think the one that comes to mind is the one between Mac and Apache.
Yeah, that's right. That
You
was
know,
a that was a very narrow race that
like
came down to the wire.
yeah, because like Mac went in with a very like poor Harrier at the start, but somehow just dug deep. And Mac, I mean, as an old veteran to this category, he was not really one to be counted out. I mean, he knew where to dig deep when it mattered the most, even despite having a really awful start to an important fight like the Harrier. But yeah, right now it's probably a little less than half a room's distance between runners here. Probably maybe like 20-ish seconds, maybe a little bit more, depending
Well,
on
we
what happens
saw.
here.
I don't know if you noticed, but B-Man did his B-Man bump on Emma, and D-Limes did not. Oh, D-Limes actually, it seemed like he let go of Emma. Maybe I was imagining that, but it seemed like he grabbed and then let go. I'm not sure. Maybe I wasn't paying attention closely enough, but
It may be the virus that Emma uploaded that's kind of distorting what we're seeing on
yeah, that's
stream.
right. It's distorting the stream.
Let's see. So D Limes is going for a safer approach to the hatch. There's actually, funny enough, with BMN racing here, is that he actually has a lot of tricks of how to optimally get Emma through the door, which he's actually shown to me on one of the ways to do it. Which I think what he's going to try to do is as soon as the door opens, he's going to try to grab Emma through the handle of the doorway of that hatch there, which I think he did pretty well. I don't know. He did like this like four-way comparison of either grabbing her normally, grabbing her as you're moving. I used to do the just the choke while just dragging her through like you did for the elevator, and it's amazing how little things people can find, especially for a category as optimized as VE, which again every little bit helps.
It seems like BMN has closed the gap a little bit here. Again, the thing that really hurt here was those mistakes going to Shell 2 and in Shell 2 before Vamp. That if those couple little things didn't happen, this would be really close at this point. But it's still anyone's game. I can't say for certain that D-Limes is going to just take this away and head into the grand finals.
Yeah, I mean, I I know he's a great runner. I mean, he makes good decisions on the spot, and I don't know. It's just the way things are now. I don't know. I'm still holding out to see what happens in the Arsenal gear section, because really that's kind of the next significant portion of this race that really comes down to the wire between how Tengu 1's perform, how Tengu 2's perform more specifically. And then there's Jejena, which seems to be the bane of people's existence lately. Just seems like the one place you don't want to mess up, and more ways than just this category. Trust me, it's not a fun place to get caught in. Let's
Most
see.
certainly.
Oh, BMN's giving us a little hello from the chat.
It's about that time, folks. It's about that time.
Oh, apparently they're a few seconds ahead of their PB pace, which is another thing I wasn't really keeping track of was, relative to our live stream timer here. But if these guys are running their own live split timers, it'd be interesting to see what other PBs could happen because I remarkably got one during my race against Bat Salted Peanuts, which was like a little over 30 seconds, which I did not expect it. And my lesson learned was no matter what, always record.
That's right. Never not record if you're doing an attempt. You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I could just hear Tyler telling me this right now. I was like, why didn't she record?
We have that message pinned in multiple channels in the Discord. Never do attempts without recording.
Oh, but speaking of Discords, I mean, isn't there a particularly special Discord that we have here for MGSR?
Well, you want to do a little bit of promotion, Joseph?
Oh, yeah, we got to get that promotion out there.
Promotion. So if you are here and you aren't aware of MetalGearSpeedrunners.com, well, if you head on over there to MetalGearSpeedrunners.com, we have tutorials, a whole knowledge base, articles, and all kinds of fun stuff. Links to our Discord, our Twitch, our YouTube, though you're already here on Twitch, so I don't think you need that per se. Unless you're watching the VOD, then hello. So do check us out there if you're interested in learning any of these games, whether it's MGS2 VE or whatever it may be, whatever your heart's content. Check us on out. There's plenty of helpful, welcoming people in this community who will lend you a hand, even if it's something more obscure. So just a little bit of promotion, and maybe we can do a little bit of look ahead while we wait around here for the end of this sequence. So the next match is Beswick versus Platonic Guy, which I think is going to be a very interesting match to see. I think both players have some similar flaws in their overall game plan. And what I mean by that is we've seen Beswick fail in holds both times during their matches, and Platonic Guy also has had some real trouble with the holds in race environments. So I'm going to be really curious how both of these players handle that. Maybe both will just say we're just going to take it safe, just like we saw D-Limes and BMN do, just due to a confidence thing. But I feel like that match could potentially go either way. Beswick being the dark horse and in this tournament, Platonic Guy being a pretty consistent player, but they're both quite talented from what we've seen throughout this tournament.
Yeah, I mean, the skill level is very similar, and Platonic has this tendency to opt out of the ladder glitch in hold one of the tanker, which I think, kind of like you say, comes down to confidence during a racing environment. But despite the ladder glitch, he, from when I raced him the other day, he's a very good player. He executes very well, kind of like D-Limes. He makes very few mistakes, or at least just very, reckless ones. And he has all the tools in his tool belt in terms of, how to try to save the run or back it up. He knows all the backups. And I would imagine Beswick also has that knowledge too. But I don't know. That's gonna be a nail biter, I think, and I would not be surprised if that one ends up being like an IGT finish. But then again, I mean, Harriers are very important. I mean, we've seen, BMN kind of claw his way back just because D-Limes didn't get that one hit he needed. But I don't know. This is gonna be interesting as they both make their way into Arsenal gear.
Yeah, it seemed like BMN had a slightly faster vamp compared to Limes, yet Limes seems like he missed a shot.
Yeah,
Again,
I think
maybe
his,
the GW is working against me, but
yes, it's Arsenal gear GW at it again. But It was, I think it's like there's a particular way of no zooming vamp, which more recently has been demonstrated by using the keyboard input, which is not something you would normally expect to use in a game like this, even though it is on the PC port. But apparently, if you ever so lightly tap on your arrow key of the keyboard, it will give you just the right amount of adjustment to, no zoom, kill vamp, and then just spam it. I think with D-Limes, it might have gone over just a tad, and he had to recorrect it. Where I think B-Man got it right off the bat. Don't
Yep,
worry, folks.
so
No write-ins were harmed in the making of this race. I mean, it may look like he's getting choked to death, but trust me, it's just interactive cutscene. You don't have to really do anything, even though BMN is slowly resisting it.
Olga, you can't keep this up. They're bound to find you.
Listen, I'll free you in a little while. Brace yourself.
Oh,
all
there
right,
goes
brace
Olga.
yourself. Brace
I-
yourself, folks.
I didn't brace myself.
Gotta brace yourself for that little pinch she does.
Oh, is that what you call a pinch?
Very. I mean, have you ever had like a pinch from like a crab or like pliers? That's harsh. That's a harsh pinch. She gave you that
Oh, yes. Yeah,
strong,
and not now you say
very
it that way.
very extreme pinch. Um, but yeah, going into Arsenal, let's see how D-Limes handles this. It's Jejunum and getting that one frame, I'm sure. Yep. Just
Yeah,
have
he's
to
got
pay
it.
attention to his knee to get that one frame codec. And now the key part is cartwheeling into this Tengu. Oh, he punched him just to be safe and clears the gap as expected. Did not fall.
I think it was Bestwick that did that punch cartwheel buffer the other day, which was something I didn't really realize you could do. Like as an in-between method, because like there's a few different ways of handling Jejunum, which both runners are, obviously going for the more riskier pathing.
Man,
Is Yeah, that
B-Man.
was a close jump.
That was he really pushed it there. That did save him a little bit of time over D-Lime since he squeezed in another cartwheel, didn't do the punch, but that was scary. That was very scary.
Yeah, because like the whole idea of Jejunum with the beginning is to time your cartwheel or either punch buffer to, knock out the guard without getting an alert and especially without getting knocked over. Because getting knocked over at this point would almost be, a near run ender between these two. I mean, but then again, I mean, D-Limes has got a little bit of a lead, but mistakes at this point really can't happen. I'm sure they're both going to try their best, but this is really crunch time. When it comes to getting into Tengus. But yeah, so now they're both just kind of chilling in this, quote unquote, hey, look, I got a blade. Let's teach you how to use it. AKA just swing it once and wait 45 seconds while being in the upper section of the hallway, which, okay, I think BMN's
Whoa,
just kind of,
B-Man.
he's just giving
Getting
Sync
a
some
little
cuddles.
getting a little close there.
Yeah, he
Yep.
just gives up some cuddles.
I guess he wants the tag. Iroquois Pliskin. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I guess once a dog tag runner, always a dog tag runner, right?
Yep. Nothing else to do here. He's trying to wake up Snake. Snake's got to be up for the next sequence. What are you thinking? He's
I just
thinking
wanted
about
the
the
dog
tag,
man, okay?
Just
wanted
I
the dog tag.
just want your tag, dude. Just want your tag. As
All right,
D-Lime's going in hot onto this Tengu 1. I think he'll be doing... Oh, he's actually doing the right side setup
Interesting.
and spraying the
Yeah, he's playing
Tengus
this
with
safe.
that auto aim. And
Yeah,
switching to that SOCOM and boosh.
Yeah, nice door glitch clip there. Yeah, I think left is slightly faster, but I think he just wanted to play it safe. Let's see how BMN's going to handle this. So he is going to go left. And let's see what he's going to do here. So he's going to avoid that guard, shoot the last two, and then his turn to clip through the door, which he got first try. Very nice.
Easy.
As D-Limes is now starting his Tengu 2 encounter. The whole idea here is to preemptively neutralize these Tengus that are above you with the Stinger missile launcher as efficiently as possible. So D-Limes is missing a few here and there. Well, let's see what B-Man's going to do. So this could be an opportunity to gain a little bit of a time lead. Because again, taking out these Tengus as soon as they appear as quickly and efficiently as possible is key. It's very easy to lose a couple seconds here, a couple seconds there. Looks like it's, I don't know. I think D-Limes was missing a little bit more. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's looking about the same. And then, of course, we're greeted with the Fission mailed screen that we all know and love.
This is going to require D-Limes to make some strong errors in Solidus because BMN still has some ground to make up, and I can't predict that
Oh,
D-Limes
Snake's in
is
front
gonna.
Oh, dude, that was scary.
That's annoying.
Oh man, see, like Snake is the other variable in Tengu too, where sometimes he either gets stuck up on a bladesman, or he'll, like what he did to BMN, he'll just be like, "Hey, you got cuddles, I want cuddles, but don't fire the single missile launcher, or we both blow up." I don't know. Maybe he's still salty about losing that dog tag.
I mean, you know, that probably is payback for the little hugs that BMN was giving him earlier. But we are now at the point where it's really D-Lime's run to lose as far as the Solidus play. So if D-Limes has some major errors at Solidus and BMN can keep it clean, it's possible that BMN can bring this back, but it's going to be rough. This is entirely Lime's game to lose at this point.
Yeah, BMN's got some interesting playbook moves for when it comes to Solidus, which he showed the other day with neither blocking or parrying, but actually dodging the elbow charges, or the people's elbow as it's commonly known. But I don't know. This is going to be interesting how each one handles Solidus. Because like you say, this is a knockdown or two away from making this a IGT finish, as well as a, I don't know, potential upset. But I don't know. This is going to have to be really severe at this point for it to be, a potential upset.
Yeah, because B-Man's 20 seconds behind, roughly, compared to D-Limes, so D-Limes is going to have a really sloppy Solidus, which, he's, historically speaking, Solidus was one of the last fights D-Limes really put some time into to improve and work on, so I've seen him have some sloppy Soliduses in the past. It wasn't necessarily his strongest fight to start with this game, but I'm sure he's put in enough practice to know what he needs to do for this fight. So we'll see. We will see.
Yeah, and I guess when it comes to things that I guess what D-Limes has contributed to the game as well as the category is, I guess for people that have watched him or watched him run, is he absolutely loves the Ray fight. I mean, not just on VE. I mean, the VE one is just kind of like a sampler when it comes to what he really enjoys doing. But he's done a lot of work to optimizing the Rays on European Extreme. And I think, like you said, Solidus was like one of the, I guess, final like pillars of the game that he went to optimize and master.
But he's doing the triple slash, gets the short dash, very clean start to this fight. Nothing too extraordinary out of the ordinary for Limes there. Now, B-Man trying to get a similarly clean Solidus fight with this rocket loop, triple slash. What attack is D-Limes going to get? He got the people's elbow. That's the best luck possible. What's he going to get here? Oh, the parry.
Nice.
And that time
on D-Limes.
That was a clean fight from Limes here. Clean fight.
Yeah, it really couldn't have gone any better than that. And so yeah, BMN opting for the dodge. And,
wow, did you see that dodge?
He's very good at dodging that.
Real swag right
time
there.
on BMN. So that let's see. So how far off is that? So that's like 20-ish seconds. So I don't know if this is going to come down to an IGT if either runner wants to request it. But I think personally this should be an IGT check. this is too close to leave it to, I don't know, to chance on RTA.
All right, it seems like well, D-Limes, if a runner requests the proof call, then we're going to proof call here. But that was quite the race. I think really what we saw here was Limes playing very consistently. Not many major mistakes throughout this run from Limes, playing it very safe and consistent, and BMN just having some choice errors throughout this run. I think the things that really messed him up in the long run were that helipad and that pipe room.
Yeah.
In Strat A. Those two mistakes, if he didn't make those mistakes, I think he would have actually been ahead at this point.
Yeah, I mean, just kind of looking at the race as a whole, I mean, they both had identical Olgas, same spawn. Maybe the timing was a little bit different, but they both had similar aims. BMN had the better Harrier, but D-Limes was ahead just from, executionally just playing well. I was just kind of watching what seemed like, almost like a normal D-Limes run. I mean, maybe a few things to play safe with the air of caution on being in a racing environment, but yeah, I mean, really the only thing I noted was, he missed the high damage. He did get the 5+1, but sometimes the double damage is just, I don't know, maybe just GW kind of chiming in and be like, nope, you're not going to get the double damage. But yeah, I mean, he executed very well. Didn't really do any, dead cartwheels, rolling to prone, or except maybe it was once, or maybe that was BMN. But yeah, because like you say, I mean, these executional mistakes in a category like this, they do add up. And I've been on both sides of this as a viewer, a commentator, and as a racer. And it does add up. And I think even nerves may have come into play for either one. I mean, especially for BMN, because I know that watching the helipad, I could feel the angst building up, and I'm completely sympathetic with them, because it's so easy to fall victim to pressure. But he recovered pretty well. I mean, despite the fact that neither one did the swim glitch, which really surprised me.
Yeah.
So good race all around. Just, I don't know. It's just, but I guess what I'm wondering is if BMN PB'd on this run or not, since he noted during the sniping section that he was like a few seconds ahead.
Saying in chat that he's expecting a PB of 103.29, so that is real nice. That is a very, very good time. And I think what this race has taught me, though I kind of already knew this before, but really an example of it is that very easy is a speed game of consistency. How consistent can you do your movement? How consistent can you do each room? Because when everything goes to basics, then you just have to understand the basics extremely well. And I think Limes, aside from a couple of instances, he had a bit of a messy strut C when he was picking up the sensor. A couple of little issues here and there, but overall he played a very clean game of MGS2, really demonstrating his level of knowledge, experience, and consistency when it comes to this category.
Yeah, because like I was saying the other day with Platonic, is that I've grown in this category recently, and I think I've gained more admiration and respect for the work that's been put into it. And for people wondering, or watching, is that if there's ever a category to get into for speedrunning, VE I think is a very good one to start with, and it's a good challenge. I mean, don't let the difficulty steer you away from thinking that it's too easy, because I mean, look at these two. I mean, they're within like 20-ish seconds of each other, both good runners. One's a world record holder, but one mistake is all that it takes to essentially lose a PB in this category, whereas maybe other categories or or difficulties can maybe have some wiggle room, but with VE there's very little to almost like non-existent wiggle room. It's almost like if you fall on top of stairs, like that's a reset in a solo environment, but in a race it's It's painful to be on the receiving end of it, trust me, or a kick to the face in the elevator. Stupid B1. But yeah, good race.
And I would also say that it's true with many of the games in the series that the easy difficulty, a lot of the solid games are really good places to start because they really teach you movement fundamentals and a good basic understanding of how the game works at its core. And so you can apply a lot of what you learn in the lower difficulties to higher difficulties if you so choose to. I think MGS3 is a good example of this. MGS1, understanding the core mechanics of a game, that is a huge part of speedrunning, and we've definitely seen in this tournament that a lot of people have gotten some great understanding of the core mechanics of MGS2 by optimizing and running this difficulty.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's and I guess for me, I kind of started more on the opposite side of the spectrum for MGS2. It was on Extreme to Euro, and then I was kind of lumped into VE, not really on a whim, but it was more like a poking. It was kind of like D Limes is like, hey, try VE. Platonic, hey, try VE. And then it's like BMN, hey, try VE. And I got an auto splitter. It's like, all right, fine, I'll try VE. And I actually liked it. I wasn't really sure what I was getting myself into, and it's a good category. It's heavily optimized. It's a different kind of challenge, not based on, the difficulty being the challenge, but it's how well you play it, and also how well you understand it, because the execution, the knowledge, the RNG, it all kind of comes together to, really optimizing this run. And I guess for me personally, it's just shout outs to all the people that have contributed to this category, whether it's between, old veterans like Mac, McD. I think we've even had a few others kind of pop in the chat during this tournament in and out. But, and I think even, people like BMN, Tyler, D Limes, and Platonic, they have all kind of offered and contributed little things here and there. And it's like, oh, hey, I found out this. And, and it's a really, it's a really nice community with MGSR, very sharing, very, I don't know what's the word for it, but like, we do like a good bit of competition. We try to push each other for the best, and of course we got our ever-growing supply of nut buttons growing within the community with, I think it was like how many? I think it's maybe like a handful between D-Line.
I try not to keep track of these kinds of things, this is not the statistics. I'm
what, you don't have a nut button?
No, I don't have a nut button.
But you got the knock on wood, though.
I do have the wood, but I don't have the nut.
I don't have the nut button either, or the scissors 61, so I'm really behind the times.
You got no scissors?
Yeah, I don't have any scissors, man. Jeez. I mean, Glenn's got
someone
scissors.
Someone get this guy some scissors. This is ridiculous.
I forgot to ask Glenn for his scissors. What do you want me to do? All right, you gotta forgive us, folks. We're trying to riff as much as we can before we wait for the score screen. So pardon our.
It's always a pleasure chatting with Joe, because and I'm learning so many new things. He still needs scissors, and we got to get him some scissors. All right. So what did D Limes get? What do we got from D Limes end? We got a 103.11. Solid run.
Let's see, and then for Go BMN, let's see. I'm gonna guess.
I'm just gonna say like a 18.
I was gonna say maybe like a 103.21. And 29. Okay,
29.
So a little bit more, but
so that was actually pretty accurate from the RTA.
So that's what, a 18 difference. So that's kind of what it probably should have been. Honestly, it's kind of what we saw, at least towards the end of it. But it was good race on both of them. I don't know if.
That actually puts BMN into third place, beating Beswick by 3 seconds on the leaderboard. So congrats to BMN on that one. That's even if he didn't win the race, everyone should be given a good old round of applause for BMN for beating his PB and pulling himself into third on the leaderboard. Really impressive stuff.
That was me trying to give a round of applause.
Clappity clap.
So yeah, I don't know if they're wanting us to,
I
give
think
us
we're just gonna
the kill
we gotta
sign.
move
Just
on.
move on.
We gotta
Yeah.
move on. We gotta string them because we got some more matches, for all of you today. Next up is semifinals match 2, Beswick versus Platonic Guy. You're gonna want to stick around for this because it is definitely up in the air who is gonna win this match.